This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Prime Minister's address to the nation. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Nilab Srivastav, journalist.
I will just run through the main points of the COVID-19 or coronavirus. As we know, as per the latest data, that India has total of about 173 or just more positive cases. We have unfortunately 4 deaths also across the country, in the country. What we're talking about now as to how to combat the coronavirus or the COVID-19 is by social distancing. We are discussing about the partial restrictions. Many states now have introduced Section 144 so that not many people gather. All the social gatherings, all meetings or events are also being asked not to be done. We're also now talking about the community transmission. The good news amongst all this, Mr. Iyer, is that the Health Ministry has told us that there is no community transmission as of today in India, and there is no need to panic, there is no need to hoard. The government is taking all the measures to ensure that all the regular supplies, essential supplies are maintained. We're also talking about the Prime Minister's recent address. He just addressed the country. He talked about so many things, which includes that we need to show some determination and patience. He talked to the countrymen. He said that I need your help in ensuring that this entire problem, this entire thing, as he mentioned that this something of this sort was even not witnessed in World War II and the First and the Second World War, and no country can probably help each other because this is now a pandemic. It is spread across to all the countries. So his instructions, so many of them, community gatherings should be, as everyone is now talking about the social distancing. The Prime Minister talked about it. He had also some specific points. Iyer Sahab, we'll go one by one. The most important one, he also said that we need to get into that Janta curfew thing, which is to be done on this Sunday, coming Sunday, the 22nd of March. Please describe to our listeners as to what his message was, in what context it is, and this is as part of what preparations that the Prime Minister wants the country to be prepared.
As you mentioned, Nilab, already the central government as well as the state government have made it clear some do's and don'ts. So today the Prime Minister actually made an appeal. It is not a directive, it is an appeal to every Indian to understand the gravity of the problem and to also appreciate the fact that this is a global crisis, it's a world crisis, and everything has to be done in a manner that we act as responsible citizens of the world. He particularly, as you mentioned, there are at least 9 points or the 9 appeals he has made. But the thrust of that appeal is, let us remember that this crisis which has gripped the world, India cannot be immune. We cannot think that nothing will happen to us. That's a very important message, because complacency will be our undoing. Yes, we have made adequate preparations. We are fully alert. Our health services are on alert. But at the same time, we must remember that we cannot, as individual citizens of this country, cannot take it easy. We cannot think that nothing will happen to me, because wherever the appeal has been made that people should not come out, people should stay at home, the basic thing is, let us remember this is a global crisis, a crisis equivalent to World War II. And he even recalled that during our childhood and all, we have seen, during the war, there used to be blackouts.
Yeah, right.
So at that time, the way people used to, galvanize and come together to do it. So that is the big message he has given. Let us not underestimate the impact, but at the same time, let us be confident that we will overcome this. So in that context, he gave out those 9 appeals. You mentioned about the Janta curfew, basically saying self-imposed restrictions.
Right.
See, because the thrust of it, let us avoid public space. Let us go for social distancing. In the sense, you voluntarily decide that I will not go out unless absolutely necessary. I will not use public transport. I will not use the public space unless it is required. So this kind of appeal is to encourage every citizen to do his best, to do her best. And in particular, he mentioned his appeal was to the senior citizens who are above 65 years of age and to children below 10. Please ensure that the senior citizens and children are not exposed to public space where there is a chance of contracting this virus.
Right.
So I think it's a broad appeal, an appeal because Prime Minister knows that he has a way with words, and his appeal has always been paid heed to. That is how he began his address. Whether it was giving up gas cylinders, or even the Swachhata Abhiyan, the clean campaign, the Clean India campaign. People of India have always responded to his appeal. So today he is appealing. Today he is appealing for the same. That let the people follow these basic instructions that are being given time to time, follow personal hygiene, keep the community hygiene, and let us remember the danger is real, but we can overcome it.
So at a time, social distancing is essential, but the community effort, the social effort is very important. In the same context, the Prime Minister also mentioned that all those people who are at the forefront in the line of duty, be it the medical workers, be it the essential service, be it the security personnel, be it the public transport running people, the drivers or the establishments behind them. So many of them, I'm probably not able to collect all of these names. But he also talked about strengthening their hands by way of this social distancing. When you do not go out, you are not socializing, you are ensuring that not many cases are going to the hospitals, not many cases are infected. We are at good numbers, not to say good numbers, but we are at a stage where we have tried to contain this pandemic now to a large extent. So the Prime Minister's idea is basically that you strengthen your own community and also complement the efforts of the people who are risking their own lives, going beyond the call of duty to address these patients who are. He also talked about, Mr. Iyer, that people shouldn't believe on rumors and also not go to the hospital just because there is some infection or some problem with them. So that means that these services are to be restricted for people who essentially need them. We should not be overburdening them.
Yeah, that is why he appealed to people that if you can postpone your elective surgeries, in the sense where, if it doesn't matter if you do it after, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, so that there is not pressure on our health workers, pressure on doctors, pressure on our hospital system. What can be postponed, without affecting? Of course, emergency medical attention will always be given. There is no bar on that. But in instances where you can put it off to a later date, why not let us do it? So that is a kind of an appeal to see that our health workers who are now being stretched because of the tests being undertaken of suspected cases. So give them that breather time so that you can go back later. You can always go back later if it is not life-threatening for you. So and I think the bigger thing is that this infection today, this pandemic has engulfed 159 countries. It has infected more than 220,000 people. And the figures are that it has claimed, at least more than 1,000 lives. So therefore, the whole thing is that all the countries which have been affected are doing the same thing, which is what? They are keeping their people isolated, finding out the contact cases. And fortunately, we haven't had the problem of community-based transmission. Whatever transmission has occurred is on the basis of contact. People who have gone abroad and come back.
A travel history.
And come back.
Right.
And also I think the Prime Minister pointed out something else, which I think we all need to remember. There has been unnecessary spread of rumors, and that has resulted in some hoarding at individual level. People are queuing up in markets, buying up things. So he assured the nation that we have plenty of food, we have plenty of supplies. You take your purchases as you do normally. Whatever you need for a month or for a week or so, do that. Whether it is vegetables, milk, eggs, whatever. Do not get into this kind of a panic thing and hoard things, because there is no shortage. We are a country of plenty. Everything is available. Do not get into panic buying and do not spread rumors. See, what is happening is, through social media, through WhatsApp, all kinds of unverified things are coming. That is not so, because the government is fully geared up. Every traveler who is reaching here is being put through checks. And after March 22nd, there will be no flights coming in or going till 31st. So there will be no international flights. So whatever contacts happened so far, they are being investigated, they are being traced, their families are being put through quarantine. Even this quarantine is a very essential measure. This is not to harass anybody. Because the Prime Minister actually today, the thrust I would say on two things. You protect yourself from infection and also take steps to prevent its spread.
Exactly.
These are the
being
two,
at home or
two
being,
points.
Yeah, right. The Prime Minister also, you talked about this very important message of not getting into panic buying and rumor mongering. There was also, if I quote his words, he said, "We are taking all important steps to ensure that essential items are supplied. There are no problems with that." The Prime Minister used the words, if I use his words in Hindi, and he said, "Sankalp or Sanyam, determination and patience is what we need to exhibit." Because as his word was, and what we have seen through the reports from coming from across the globe, is that no country in the world is able to help each other, because this is a human to human contact problem. Now, since we have seen the outbreak of coronavirus, or COVID-19 as it's called, we have also seen the multiple departments and the ministries of the government of India, including some help from the NGOs. It has been trying to mobilize all the efforts in one unison. So be it stopping the people, closing the borders, ensuring that people are scanned there, or to ensure and disseminate how to isolate people, what all facilities to create. So the Prime Minister also talked about a response task force, I think economic response task force. What exactly was this, and what will be its functioning, Iyer Sahab?
See, the biggest impact this virus has caused is to the economy. Not just to Indian economy. The global economy has been impacted by this. And that has resulted to a situation where there is a fear that many will lose jobs, their daily earnings may be affected, and also a situation where we are already seeing how the Sensex has been reacting, because this is a high-risk time.
The global aviation industry.
There is going to be a sector-wise problem. Already we are seeing what is happening to the hotel industry, to the airline industry, the tourist industry, the taxi, all aggregator-based services, whether it is Uber or cabs. See, there is a profound impact. We cannot deny that. We cannot be in denial. Therefore, the government has gone ahead and has set up a special task force called the COVID-19 Economic Response Task Force, under the leadership of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. This body is going to, deliberate sector-wise problems wherever relief is needed. At the same time, Prime Minister appealed to each of us. Now, some of us have got maids working in our homes. Some of us have drivers working for us, other support staff, gardeners. Now, be considerate towards them.
Yeah, this was also a point
because
that
this is something, after all, they have to earn their livelihood. They have no other source. Why not let us help them in this. Do not cut their wages. Let's be considerate towards them, because the hardest hit will be the poor people. So whatever we can do to help the poor, let us help. Of course, where the problem is industry-wise, the government will definitely consider what relief can be given. There are cases where people want their loan installments to be, put off, some kind of a moratorium, or some waiving of interest. All this will be considered by the government, and depending on the merit, depending on how much the industry has been impacted, the relief will be given. So I think this is also a message to those people who are particularly worried about the economic and financial aspects or the impact of this disease.
Right. Also, very important point, Iyer Sahab, was about the entire economic situation going side by side, but also to ensure that one of the silver linings, I would call, in this entire time of trials and tribulations is that the country has not seen any community outbreak. That is the most important point that we have, the Health Ministry today told us. And I think the way out of this coronavirus, to break the chain, is by ensuring that community distancing happens, people do not go out, and when the scientists and the experts stress on this, I think it has got reason to say so.
Exactly, because we'll have to realize that the best that we can do is maintain the hygiene, all that do's and don'ts, and stay off crowd,
right.
That is the social distancing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on Prime Minister's address to the nation. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and Nilabh Srivastav, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You can also follow us on News on AIR app for updates. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.